and welcome to this week's edition of wiKOPedia. This week we're talking about Liverpool's current number 11 and future legend, Mohamed Salah. What's your current legend, Steve? What do you think?
Absolutely. You can't win a Champions League and a Premier League and not be a legend. Never mind the European Super Cup and the World Club Cup Championship as well. For me, as a generation before you, as a Liverpool fan, if you like, being a bit older than you, we always had it within the club that if you won a league or you won a European Cup, you're a legend. He's won both, you know. So for me, Mo Salah has every right to be considered as a legend. It's not something that's going to happen in the future. He's got 4 winners' medals at the highest possible level for things that this club should be competing for. So without a doubt, all of the squad that won the Champions League and then followed it up and won the Premier League are legends, and that would include Mo Salah. So yeah, spot on. He's a legend, mate.
Similar question to you, Jamie. How do you summarise Mohamed's career at LFC so far?
Well, he's been nothing other than a revelation, really. There were question marks over him. Obviously, he had prior time at Chelsea. That didn't go all too well. That was a time as well that we were looking to sign in from Basel. So yeah, it was an interesting one. And I always had some question marks because obviously he was in the Serie A and he was really turning it on. But that's a sort of a very hit or miss league, really. Especially when you sort of consider the pace in which the game's played in the Serie A. So it was an intriguing one. He was clearly a system pick. He seemed like the right choice. It was just whether it would actually come to fruition as and when he had arrived. So yeah, I would agree with Steve and sort of say, yeah, he has to be considered a legend, not only in terms of what he's accomplished in silverware with league title, Champions League, World Club Cup, all those things. They're all very lovely. And welcomed greatly, of course, but in terms of figures as well, when you're looking at his goals, assist rates, and various things like that, he turns it on every week, really, every week. Yes, sometimes you can have an off game, but it's usually you find that's when we're not ticking as a unit. It's very rare, but it can happen. So yeah, for me, he's a current day legend. And he will go down in the history books of Liverpool Football Club.
What was your expectations of Mohamed Salah's stay when he first arrived, and has he exceeded them?
So I'll just touch on something Jamie said, and it's really, really important because it's absolutely spot on. He was bought as a system player. We know now that there's a team of analysts that look at players across Europe, how quickly they can press, what ground they cover, how quickly they recover, their recovery rate is, and how much work they put in. We knew Mo Salah was a worker. He's come in. For me, he's exceeded expectations. I never believed he could be this prolific. But the ironic thing is he could be even more prolific. He's capable of the absolute ridiculous in terms of snapshot goals against Leeds, snapshot goal against, the other night again. He contributes every single game. But you can always say, how did he miss that? How did he miss that one? So he's capable of being even more prolific than he is. So in terms of what we paid for him in the current marketplace and what he's achieved at the football club with 101 goals, and, you can actually say, if you look at the club, he's one of the key reasons why we are where we are. We've got what we've got. He's a nightmare to play against. In the same way as Messi, from the waist down, it sounds bizarre, he's ridiculously physically strong. I remember a guy I used to work with played against Robbie Fowler, and he said he couldn't knock Robbie Fowler off the ball because he was so strong. Mo Salah's got the same thing. He's probably not a bit stronger and obviously a bit quicker than Robbie was. Mate, he's absolutely a nightmare to play against. He wants the ball, he wants to get at people, he wants to open up and create chances. And I don't buy into this idea that he's greedy. If he has 25 shots in the game, 24 of them go in the Kop, and one goes in the top corner and we win 1-0, he's a hero. So this idea that Mo Salah can be a bit greedy, you need your forwards to be greedy. Messi's greedy at times. Ronaldo's the greediest player that's ever walked the planet. But he's also in the conversation for the top 3 or 4 players that have ever walked the planet. So I'll never criticise Mo Salah for that. For me, he came in, we weren't sure what we were going to get. He took off on this streak of scoring goals. he's right up there with the greatest goal scorers Liverpool Football Club have ever had, and I don't say that lightly. He is right up there with them. So, yeah, I'm made up how he's turned out to be, and long may it continue, and we hope we keep him for a couple more years yet. But, you know, the lad's bossed it. He's absolutely bossed it, mate.
Same question to you, Jamie. What was you expecting from Mo, and has he exceeded your expectations?
He certainly exceeded them. As I say, it was evident that he was bought as a system player, so I didn't think it wouldn't work out. I was confident it would work out, but to the degree it's worked out, I don't think anybody could have predicted that, to be quite honest with you. As I say, there were question marks for me in terms of where he was performing in the Serie A. It's not one that I like to measure a player by at all. But obviously we'd seen him at Basel. We'd seen a little bit of him in the Premier League with Chelsea, albeit limited, and he didn't really set the world alight, but there was enough there to show that he was great in transition. He had explosive pace, and he came with some confidence that soon sort of sapped out of him over his time. Obviously, not getting any appearances and what have you. So it was a difficult time for him. But yeah, in terms of a system player, I had every confidence it would work. But not for one moment did I suspect that he would go on and achieve the numbers that he's achieving for the club. Again, I don't think anybody could realistically have forecasted such a return. Yeah, I mean, he's got real goal scoring prowess. I wouldn't say he was greedy at all. I think at times he can be maybe a little blinkered. He's focused on the goal. And doesn't necessarily see the pass, but he's a goal scorer. His numbers back up his confidence and his determination to go in there and get his goals. So yeah, I wouldn't say he's selfish. At times, I would suggest that he could be blinkered. Not necessarily he's ignoring his colleagues at all. I wouldn't suggest that. Ultimately, he wants the best for the team. I think sometimes he just sees the back of the goal, and his numbers back him up, mate. Why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he see that goal? Why shouldn't he be going for goal? Back yourself. That's how you get the numbers that he's getting, mate, and he's doing it well, and long may it continue.
Steve, do you think at times Mo's been underappreciated by some Liverpool fans?
That's an interesting question. I think every Liverpool player at some point in time is underappreciated by those people on social media that take pride in ripping the club to bits and things don't go very well. Yes, he's been underappreciated. I hope he doesn't read social media, to be fair, in the sense that some of the things that are written when he does take an opportunity where a pass would have been easier. The 20th century, 21st century, where we are right now in terms of our fan base isn't the same as it was 10 years ago. It's very fickle. And the people that you see on social media are also very fickle. It's hard to play football at that level every single week. It really is, to get to the levels he's getting to. And you can quote me on this. He's right up there as one of the top 3 or 4 best players in the world right now. And it's just benefit for us to pull on a Liverpool shirt every week. So yes, he's massively underappreciated. Of course he is. I've got no criticism of the fella. I would never go on social media and say, get out of my club because you didn't pass to Mane when he was in space and stuff like that. Doesn't work for me. I appreciate good footballers. I appreciate good football, and Mo Salah falls into both of those categories. He's a good footballer playing good football, and he is in the top 3 or 4 players in the world. So yeah, those of you that like to dig him out on social media, if you're listening to this, stop doing it and show the guy some love because he deserves it.
Same question to you, Jamie. Do you think Mo's sometimes underappreciated by some of our fan base?
Yeah, it's kind of par for the course, really. Everybody thinks they can do a better job themselves. It's easy for us to sort of sit at a TV screen or even in the stands and see that pass and see these spaces and things like that. It's very different at pitch level when you're involved in a game. So yeah, he quite possibly is. But why should he be? Why should he be concerned? He's knocking out numbers that absolutely they're mind-boggling. They're absolutely mind-boggling. His numbers speak for themselves. So it's. I don't think I really don't think it matters how appreciated he is, to be fair. As long as he's churning out those performances, just keep going. What does it matter? What does it matter what sort of ℎ𝕠𝕤𝕆𝕒𝕆𝕒 thinks whilst he's sat at home sipping on his lager? It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. Just keep doing what he's doing. And I think he's a wonderful footballer. I don't know. I may get some disagreement with this, but I don't think he's technically the most gifted footballer on the planet. But in terms of his strengths, he knows his strengths. His side knows his strengths. The system suits his strengths, and he's simply wonderful. And I agree. I think he's in the top 3-4 players on the planet at the moment. Nobody wants to come up against Mohamed Salah. Nobody wants to play against him. A living nightmare on the football pitch. Pace, power, movement, finishing. He's got a lot of tools in his bag, mate, and not many people want to face him on a Saturday.
Steve, whereabouts in the grand scheme of things you put him among Liverpool's best players? Is he in top 10, top 5, top 20?
Ever?
Yeah.
He's certainly in the top 20 at the minute. And there's been a lot of good players that have come through our club, especially in the years gone by and the eras that have gone by. Those guys will dominate the rankings. We all quite rightly have ℍ𝕠𝕤𝕆𝕆𝕐 sitting at the top of the tree, being pressed very hard by Gerrard. In terms of forwards, I would say Ian Rush was a better forward because of the longevity of his career and the record goal scoring. ℍ𝕠𝕠𝕆𝕆𝕐 was a more creative forward than Mo Salah is, but football has evolved. ℍ𝕠𝕠𝕆𝕐 couldn't have played the way he played with his style back then in today's football. It's too fast for him. It's too quick for him. What Salah does is he does everything at a pace that is absolutely ridiculous. You couldn't live with him. You've got to give him yards, and you can't give him yards. So in terms of top best players Liverpool have ever had, and we'll touch on this in pods to come, I'm sure. I'd put him in the top 20, and there's scope for that to improve if he decides that a long-term career at Liverpool is for him, and we keep winning trophies. You can't ignore success. You can't ignore year-on-year contributions. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's the top 3 or 4 players in the club's history, because he isn't. But I love what he does, and hopefully it'll carry on. And we have this conversation in 2 or 3 years' time when he's got a load more winners' medals under his bed. We'll be able to say, absolutely, he's in the top 10 now. So, yeah, an absolutely superb player. But to be fair, mate, we've had a hell of a lot of those.
Same question to you, Jamie. Whereabout would you put Mohamed Salah in LFC's top players ever?
Yeah, see, that's a difficult one. I think every player needs to be judged on their own merits, really. Football evolves. The game changes, and subsequently players change. There are a lot of wonderful footballers. Steve's obviously alluded to a few. I was a child of the 80s. So my appreciation for players predominantly came sort of in the late 80s and 90s, and obviously continued growing from there on. There are some incredible players, mate, associated to us, like the John Barneses, the ℍ𝕠𝕠𝕆𝕆𝕐s, the Alan Hansons. The list can go on and on and on and on and on. Would Mohamed Salah be able to do it in that era? I don't know. How would he deal with being sort of run through in every game, clattered, heavy pitches? Very different. But would John Barnes or the likes be able to perform to the degree they did in the current game with the pace the way it is? I don't know. We can only speculate, and that's the sad thing. So I like to measure player on their merits. In terms of the Premier League era, I would suggest, yeah, he's got to be up there. He's got to be considered in terms of what he's achieved, and the numbers. Again, I keep referring to his numbers. The numbers that he churns out. How can you not consider him right up there? Certainly in the Premier League era. But for me to sort of compare him to some of the absolute legends that have been associated to this football club would be unfair to A, him, and B, to them as well, because they all went on and achieved some fabulous achievements with Liverpool Football Club. So I tend to judge a player on their own merits, on their own achievements, on their own performances, and try not to run too many comparables, because I feel it's unfair. They're not here to compete with each other. Obviously, they want some personal achievement and recognition. Of course they do, but that's only to push them on a personal level. For me, I just like to enjoy every player that produces for this football club, and we've had it for many years, and I think we'll continue to have it for many years to come as well. So yeah, Premier League era, he's right up there, mate. But overall, very difficult to judge, because I think a lot of people lose sight of just how good some of the players that Liverpool Football Club have had on their pay books. So difficult one for me to answer, mate, really.
The next question could be a tough one. So, Steve, you've mentioned a couple of times about Mohamed Salah's future. Where do you see Mohamed Salah's future? Is he going to stay at Liverpool? Is he going to get a big move somewhere else? What do you think will happen?
Good question. Both the clubs that play in El Clasico in Spain at the moment are heading into quite a severe transition. And both those transitions will require them to throw money at it. Barcelona's president has stepped down, so there'll be an election for a new president, and these new presidents start throwing names around. I will sign this player, I will sign that player if I get the job. The difficulty we've got with our players are both Salah and Mane are very humble men. They come from surroundings where they are humble. They both spend a lot of time sending money back to their home countries to develop schools, hospitals, water systems, and all that stuff. And we should rightly praise them for that. The danger for Liverpool Football Club is Real Madrid will pay them 400 grand a week to play for them. Imagine what they can do for 400 grand a week for their countries. They can't do that on Liverpool salaries. We're never going to do that. So there's the danger. When you reach a level as a football player that it says, okay, so I'm a European champion, I'm a Premier League champion, I'm this champion, I'm that champion, I've done this, that, and the other. You then have to start thinking about what happens when you come away from football. And I love what Sadio and Mo do in their own countries. I think it's fabulous. They're in a very privileged position and they're able to do it. My concern is that FSG always look for a return on their investment. And if someone comes knocking with 160, 170 million pound bids for either or both of 340 million, I think FSG will sit down and discuss the merits of an offer like that. Then the players negotiate their own salary, and then they can go and do even more. And I think as they get older and they go through their careers, they will like the fact that they're able to focus on that. So I do expect bids. I would be very surprised, and we've both said this before, Jamie and I, if next season we line up with the front three we've got now, football evolves, we need to evolve. So watch this space. It's a difficult one, but there will be bids, particularly from the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid.
Same question to you, Jamie. Where do you see Mohamed Salah in the next couple of years? Does he stay at Liverpool, or does he go and play in El Clasico?
Yeah, for me, he's not going to stay indefinitely. I anticipate he'll make a move to likely Real Madrid at some point in his career, in not too distant future, I'd imagine. It's my understanding through conversations I've had from various people, his agent, Steve rightly said, they're both very humble people, both himself and Sadio Mane. So a lot will come down to those that represent them. And from what I was able to ascertain in these conversations, Mohamed Salah's agent has already been on the door at Real Madrid on no fewer than 2 occasions, but the numbers of which he was sort of speaking to Real Madrid he was kind of laughed out the door. So there's definite interest in that move, or certainly in relation to what I was advised at that time through those conversations. It seems that they're certainly open to that as a move. So I'm convinced myself that we don't move into next season with the front three intact. Either or Sadio or Salah will go. My money would be on Salah. To be honest with you, I suspect he may maybe the one that kind of gets a move to Real Madrid. Why anybody would want to make that move is beyond me. I can't bear that league. I can't bear Real Madrid. But you know, it's financially brilliant, and like Steve said, they like to do a lot of work for things back in their home countries. And you know, who am I as a man to say that, you know, they're not well within their rights to do that and really make a difference to their own countries and impact lives in such a positive way. If he wanted to go, I don't think too many people could really have much to say about it. It would be a disappointment. But you couldn't do anything other than give him a pat on the back, a massive thank you, and a wish of good luck in whatever he goes on to achieve. But yeah, I'd be surprised if he doesn't sort of move on at some point. And as I say, I don't think that point will be too far down the line.
So, last question. Let's cheer ourselves up a little bit after the thoughts of Mo going. Favourite Mo moments, Steve?
There's a few to choose from, isn't there? Obviously, going in the Champions League final, he would tell you that's brilliant. I think for me, given the toxic nature of the relationships that we've got with these clubs through the same fickle fans that I mentioned before, I'm going to pick a couple of goals. I'm going to pick the goals he scored at Main Road. Where's that come from? The Etihad in the Champions League in the quarter-final when we dispatched them both home and away. Some of those goals were a bit special. But the one I like the most is when he come inside and leathered that ball from right to left in the top corner against Chelsea. What a sensational strike that was. And he knew it. It's his reaction to it. It's like the same reaction Suarez got when he scored one of his goals against Norwich, when he clearly doesn't know what to do with himself because the euphoria of scoring such a special goal stops you thinking rationally and you just do whatever. Always love goals against our wannabe rivals. Certainly Man City are one of them. And such a toxic nature with the way Chelsea are with us. The one where he cut it from right to left into the top corner and the keeper could have had three keepers in and he wouldn't have saved it. So I love that, mate. Outside of a goal, I love that he turned up at the game at Anfield and we needed to beat Barcelona. He turned up in a t-shirt saying "Never give up." I love that, mate. We've got a flag on the wall in my lads' room that says exactly that, mate. Tremendous, and I loved it. And yeah, mate, he's been a joy to watch. So those are my three things I'm going to go for, mate.
Same question to you, Jamie. What's your favourite Mo moments?
Well, again, there are so many. He always provides us something, be it a blistering run, a bit of skill, the goal against Roma. There are so many. He gets some absolutely absurd goals. The goal against Tottenham that put us in front, where he's Messi-esque the way he weaved through and stabbed the ball home, only for us to be denied by a Harry Kane penalty. But you don't give him two chances from the penalty spot, right? So Harry pointed out. So moments like that. But yeah, again, I'd echo Steve on that one. It's that goal against Chelsea, mate. I think obviously they're a team that like to sort of rib us with the infamous slip reference and what have you. Oddly, not the John Terry penalty slip, but just the Steven Gerrard slip. So yeah, the way he caught it, the way he cut, I can remember actually, I could see him swinging that left leg back. He was going to strike it, and honestly, I was like, "What are you thinking? Why are you going to have a punt from here?" What do I know? Absolute rasper. Nobody was going to stop that. Not the finest keeper in the world. You could stick Oblak in there, Alisson in there, both together. They weren't keeping it out. It was absolutely stunning. And the reaction, obviously, of the Kop was, as always, magnificent. So it was a beautiful moment, an absolute beautiful moment, and against the side that kind of wrote him off and shipped him out. So it would have been a big moment for him, a big statement from him to obviously his former employers. But yeah, he's given us loads, mate. He's given us loads, but that may well be the one that, for one moment of brilliance, sent the most tingles down my spine.
Before tonight's show, Jamie went out and tweeted online to see what your thoughts were of Mo Salah. And here's some of the replies we got. Daniel Nazar at DNAS1, our biggest goal and assist maker of the front three. Why is it people always would sell him first? So, Steve, I'll give you that question. Why is it that it seems that people would always seem to sell Mo Salah first?
Because there is that perception in some of our fans that he's a bit selfish, when really he isn't. And he's probably the least emotional of the three as well. He kind of come see, come sa, whatever happens. If he scores, sometimes he doesn't even look like he's happy to score. He'll go and kiss the turf, but he's not running around the pitch celebrating. Bobby does his karate kicks. Mo copies whatever. Sadio copies whatever Bobby's last celebration was. So you see a difference in the personality. He's just not an effusive person. He's not really someone who's going to run the full length of the pitch and dive on the floor in front of the Everton manager like Suarez did, for instance. So, and yeah, there is a perception he's a little bit selfish, but that's fickle fans, mate, and that's what we have to learn to live with in this day and age. There are keyboard warriors out there, and you shouldn't pay any service to what they say. They say Salah because of the three, he's the one that most people struggle to relate to because he doesn't give much away. He's quite a private man, isn't he? So it's unfair, defo unfair.
Same question to you, Jamie. Why do you think it seems to be that Salah's the one that they would all sell first out of the front three?
I think Steve's sort of hit the nail on the head, mate. For the exact reasons that he's just stipulated there, it's difficult for me to expand on that really. But it's a hard one to even be drawn on, really. Which one would you rather use, Sadio or Mo? It's akin to being asked which testicle you would rather have flicked. Neither, by choice. It's not a nice thought. But yeah, again, I'm completely concurrent with Steve there. I think that's exactly why.
𝕬𝕐 at 𝕬𝕐 LFC, looking razor sharp, determined, but hopefully that hobbling was just a niggle. Steve, are you worried about Mo? Is he injured?
No, that was a boot down the back of your Achilles tendon, and even at the level I played football in, they do hurt, mate. He was annoyed. They really annoy you. There's certain things you can do in your life that when you do them, they rile you, they make you angry. And that's one of the things as a footballer you don't want, is a player standing on your Achilles. That's an injury that takes months to get over if you get it. He's frustrated and annoyed that there's players in the game that are doing that to him. He's had to ride a lot of dodgy challenges. Away at Bournemouth, somebody did exactly the same thing to him, went right down the back of his leg. That will frustrate a player because you're messing with his livelihood, and we've got a problem at the moment with players dropping down with injuries. The front three will need to keep us afloat because we're dealing with things at the other end of the pitch. So it's just frustration. It'll hurt today. I'll guarantee that. We saw today. He'll be iced up today, mate. He won't do much on that today. And he'll be on a course of anti-inflammatories to get any swelling down on it. But I just think he was annoyed, mate.
Anything from you, Jamie, on Mo Salah's kick to the ankle?
Yeah, again, I think it was just a sore one. He'll probably have a bit of swelling kicking about. But it's not going to be anything sort of long term. They're always sore. He is victim of those sort of tackles a lot. Again, yeah, I remember the ball. I think it was Steve Cook actually sort of raked right down the back of him. He gets it a lot, mate. He does get it a lot. But he's well conditioned. He's got a great record in terms of history. In terms of his history with injuries and what have you, I think he'll be absolutely fine. I don't think there'll be any undue concern from the physios or the management team in relation to his fitness. He'll be good to go, mate, I think.
Gaz Phoenix, ask Gaz Phoenix. Losing him will be a massive blow to add to an already heavy injury list in other areas. No doubt Jota can deputise. Big opportunity for a lot of the fringe players who have been playing so well lately in a few areas. Although I hope the Egyptian king is not injured. I think we all hope the Egyptian king is not injured, don't we? I don't think there's anything else to say on that.
No, we agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
You never walk alone, YNWA, at ℙ𝕠𝕕𝕤725225541. We appreciate everything he and Liverpool does to put a smile on our faces in these horrific times. We all second that, don't we?
I like that one. I think Jordan Henderson said something, didn't he, along the lines of this after-match thing. You know, there are difficult times. It is our release from everyday life, sometimes very stressful everyday life. So, yeah, it's a good point. That was well made, and appreciating putting that in and you reading it out, mate. It was good.
Anything from you, Jamie, on that?
Yeah, I'd echo that sentiment. I mean, there's always joy in seeing people represent your club, a club that you love, and they're giving their all to bring joy and success to the club and for the fans. In a time that is particularly difficult for everybody at the moment, we're heavily reliant on those moments, and they're giving their all to put smiles on our faces. They miss us as much as we miss them, by the way. And I long for us all to be reunited at Anfield. But yeah, that's a really, really, really good tweet, and yeah, I appreciate that one.
Samuel A. Major at Anfield Kaiser. He is a Liverpool legend. Enough said. Pretty much enough said, isn't it?
Yeah, pick that one up in the pod. We've done that one.
Yeah.
Tim at Tim2704. In 20 years from now, he will rightly be spoken about the way Henry is now. I'm assuming that's Thierry Henry and not Nick Henry from Oldham. Do you agree with that, guys? Will he be spoken in the same way as Thierry Henry spoken about now?
I hope so. For me, Thierry Henry is the best foreign player to have played in the Premier League, the things that he could do. I remember Jamie Carragher said, when he goes past you, it's like chasing someone on a motorbike. I thought that was amusing, but very true. If Mo goes on to get half of the plaudits that Thierry Henry's had in his career in a Liverpool shirt, that bodes well for the club, mate.
Same question to you, Jamie. Do you think he'll be spoken in the same breath as Thierry Henry in 20 years' time?
Absolutely, he'll be measured by his achievements in terms of his personal stats, and they're right up there. Thierry Henry was a phenomenal footballer. Obviously, he had some issues as well in terms of his versatility. They didn't know for a period of time whether he was a winger, centre forward, what have you. Obviously, Wenger brought him in, and he became sort of very much the spearhead of their attack. And he went on to achieve remarkable things. Naturally, obviously, went on to Barcelona. If we're at a stage, I think at the moment, if he was to leave, let's say at the end of this season, he would be regarded right up there, but probably from our fan perspective, as opposed to universally across the Premier League. But he's certainly right up there, mate. And he's going to be a name that's going to be remembered by the Premier League for many, many years.
And Gaz Phoenix got in touch with us again. I think Mo is in great form so far this season. Some incredible finishes. As a team, we've not quite gelled, especially with all the injuries that has disrupted us. But he's been a constant. Hope it continues. I don't know about you guys, but I think Mo is on the form he came in his first season to us now. I think he's that good this season.
I think he's.
Would you agree?
I think he's probably playing as well as he's ever played for Liverpool at the moment. And that's a good point that the tweet makes there, that we have had issues and we're not so fluid and things haven't gelled as well as we would like them to. And we will hit top gear and someone will be on the end of a pasting, so to speak. What you've got with our front three, and particularly the two inside forwards, I hasten to call them wingers because they're not really. They're inside forwards. They create a lot of things by themselves. They score goals out of nothing. Both of them are well capable of beating a man, well capable of surprising us and digging something out of nowhere. So yeah, they are a constant, and with that ability, they should be a constant. But the rest of the team becomes a bit more fluid and we settle down with injuries, we might get another 10% out of them.
So the final question for you both. Does Mo Salah stay long enough to get 100 Premier League goals for Liverpool? First to you, Steve.
No. I think what we're seeing this season is a team that is trying to evolve with new systems, and that's not working for me. We'll need to evolve. You have to evolve in football season on season because people find you out. Sheffield United are being found out this season because teams know what they're going to come and do, and that's why they've got such a bad record so far, which I'm sure they'll arrest and sort out at some point. But I think the money will be so tempting, and the opportunity to spend that money. You know, there's talk of Mbappe being available for £91 million next summer. I don't know how true that is. There is a contractual issue regarding him that might see that become true. If you sold Mohamed Salah to Real Madrid for £175 million, once that transaction's done, that's the money you offer to Paris Saint-Germain for Kylian Mbappe, because that guy's got 4 or 5 years at the top level at a Liverpool football club before he gets a big move abroad to a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. It's becoming a circle of life for football. Mo Salah has fallen in love with the football club, but he joined the football club and he wasn't in love with the football club in the same way that you are and I am and Jamie is. So, yes, he loves us. Is he massively passionate and loyal to us in the same way that you would be if you played? No, he's not going to be, mate. So, no, I don't see him doing 100 goals, mate, because I don't think he'll be here long enough.
Same question to you, Jamie. Do you think he'll hit 100 goals in the Premier League?
No, I don't, mate. No, I don't. I think, personally, as I said, I suspect this may well be his last season with us anyway. So, no, I don't. As sad as that may well be, I just don't see that happening. I don't see that happening at all, I'm afraid.
Oh well, probably the best point to end it there then, lads. Thank you very much and thanks for listening. If you've listened today and enjoyed what you listened to, please pop over to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating and a little review because it really helps us get seen all over the internet. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you in our next episode.
Cheers, boys.
See you soon, guys.